Hey, it's Kaero. Welcome back to the channel. We are doing another episode of raiding artificial intelligence generated Magic the Gathering cards. This is a full deck. I have not seen any of these cards yet. It is a mono red deck generated by Urzas A.I. We're going to take a look at the cards, see if they're any good by themselves, and see if they're good within the confines of this deck. So, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking the video. Let's get to it. First card we have is True Shot. 1 red, 2 generic for an instant. True Shot deals 4 damage to target creature with flying. Very situational card. Nothing too crazy here, but 3 mana to do 4 damage to something only with flying. Not really into it here. What's the flavor text? The bolt sword over the necropolis. A face pressed to the stained glass was beheld by its hazy light. The soul in its form of wonder said nothing. Not much wonder there, because the soul in its form of wonder said nothing. Alright, True Shot, nah. Next card we have is Thraben Master. 1 red, 1 generic for a human wizard at 2/1. Okay, good creature types, relevant in some formats. When Thraben Master enters the battlefield, exile all cards from all graveyards. And when Thraben Master leaves the battlefield, put the exiled cards back into their owner's graveyards. So is this something that we want to sideboard in if we're playing a red deck against something that's playing Reanimator or something that uses their graveyard? I can't really tell if there's going to be a benefit to this in this deck. I would think probably not, being red, but it is AI generated, so you never know what kind of madness it's going to come up with. Seems very situational. It's not very aggressive. It has 1 toughness. It doesn't have haste or anything. The flavor text is he knows a few secrets that you never learned. And that secret is how to get rid of your entire graveyard and then put it back. Blink the graveyard. Yeah, okay. Thraben Master. The art's kind of cool. Mycosynth Lattice. Red. I know that this is an actual card. I don't actually know what Mycosynth Lattice does. I think it makes things into artifacts or something. It was like Mirrodin or New Phyrexia or something like that. This is 1 red for a sorcery, destroy target land. This is over the top busted. Mycosynth Lattice is OP. This is 10 out of 10. Wow. No drawback. Choose a land, destroy that land. And then we go back to Thraben Master, and if they're going to play that land back from their graveyard, we say, no, we're exiling all of your lands that we destroyed with all 4 of our Mycosynth Lattices in Standard. Yeah. Busted. So busted. The flavor is all plants, animals, and other living things depend on patterns to thrive. Mycosynth Lattice offers new life to what had become lifeless. Has your garden become a little barren? Add some new life to your garden by destroying it. Busted. The Disenchantment. The Disenchantment. Okay. 2 red, 4 generic for an instant. You gain 6 life. If you would gain 6 life, you gain 6 life instead. Okay, this is breaking my brain already. So it's, first of all, it costs 6, and it's an instant and life gain in red, and it's called the Disenchantment. And my 2 brain cells are just like trying to fire. They're on red line right now. They're like, me, trying to figure this out. So you gain 6 life. That effect takes place, but then if you would gain 6 life, you gain 6 life instead. That doesn't do anything, right? There's not like a trigger that you would gain 6 life and then it re-triggers. It's all just one thing. Basically, 6 red instant you gain, or 6 mana, 2 red, 4 generic, you gain 6 life at instant speed. Pretty crappy, but good to see it in red. And what's the flavor text? Just to teach a lesson. Ha! Harut and Nectar. Yeah, the lesson that they're teaching here is how to make a person's brain cells explode. The Disenchantment. Okay, red life gain. Let's do it. Next, Mountain. Oh, it's a beautiful mountain, though. Mountain over a sunset. That's a nice mountain. Too bad we're destroying it with Mycosynth Lattice. No, we want to keep our mountains. Sudden Attack. 1 red, 2 generic for an instant. Look at that art. That's amazing. Destroy target artifact. If you control a commander, you may return Sudden Attack to its owner's hand. Interesting that I clicked Standard and it's generating a commander card. Is this a good... So I don't play much commander. Is this a good commander card? Like, seriously. to have one of these in your deck, and then if you have your commander on the field, you destroy an artifact and then bring it back to your hand and destroy another artifact. Somebody's got to have artifacts, right? Out of the 3 other players, there's got to be some good artifact to destroy, like Skull Clamp or something. Flavor is some sentries take it as a point of pride to lay low before they expire. Okay, I think this my gut instinct is that this probably is pretty good in Commander to have one of these in your deck. Of course, only one, but you know what I mean. Mountain, jagged floating mountain, Slaughter Pact in red. I remember Slaughter Pact from Lorwyn block. I think it was in Lorwyn block. 2 red, 4 generic for an instant. And it has Phyrexian mana, so red can be paid with either red or 2 life. Create a 4/4 red and green dragon creature token with flying, first strike, and haste, and it gets +2/+0 till end of turn. So you could pay 4 life, play Slaughter Pact, and play 4 generic mana. So you could put this in a non-red deck. You just have to pay the life every time. Generate a 4/4 dragon, but it's actually a 6/4 dragon with flying, first strike, and haste. And then the next turn, it's a 4/4 dragon. Pretty good. I like this. They don't have a flyer. They're just taking 6. And the fact that you can spend 4 to generate it is pretty decent. I don't know if... Well, a 4/4 flyer for 6 is not that great. The fact that it comes in with haste. We compare this to like Goldspan Dragon. It's weaker than that, right? But Goldspan Dragon was super busted. So like, yeah, this is a decent card. Oh, flavor text. Kopi's Fervor was both surprising and infuriating. Liliana Vest, Grizzlebrand Annihilator. That's great flavor. I love it. Drill the right tactics. 2 red, 4 generic. Instant. Tap target creature you control. Oh, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. Untap it. 6 mana to make a creature gain haste and untap it? No, and why? So I guess the untap matters if you're using this to make it block so the haste doesn't matter. Or if you have a big beater that comes into play tapped, you can give it haste and you'd have to untap it. So I guess this does have some application. 6 mana? No. No thanks. This should cost like 2? 2, probably? Be quick and stay away from their eyes. Why do you want to stay away from their eyes? The eyes are the groin of the face. You're stabbing, you know what I mean? I don't know. Weird. Simulacrum. 1 red, 1 generic for an instant. Choose one. Creature's target player controls get -1/-1 until end of turn. Or Simulacrum deals 1 damage to target creature. Is there a situation that you would choose the second mode instead of just giving all their creatures -1/-1? Maybe if you had like Torbrand of Redfell out and your damage from red sources was amplified, so maybe like if you had him out, this would deal 3 damage to target creature or do -1/-1. Something like that is the only time that I think that you would probably choose the damage over the -1/-1. But let me know what you think. If I'm missing something, I probably am. There's probably some card that I'm missing. What is the flavor? The Mad Monks could achieve anything. They could clone their comrades, convert goblins into lesser goblins, or take control of another player's hand. Those Mad Monks, they're always taking goblins. You know how goblins are like way too strong, and they convert them just into lesser goblins, and then they just take your hand. They're mad. Those monks are mad. Augment Elemental Shaman. 1 red, 1 generic for an Elemental Shaman creature. That art is sick. I love that. That looks like something that could be from Neon Dynasty. Seriously, I love that. When you cast a spell, you may tap up to 1 target creature. If you do, you gain 2 life and draw a card. Card's sick. I like this a lot. Plays on turn 2, you have a 1-drop, right? And then you cast some removal, you draw a card, especially in red, and gain 2 life. Especially with tokens. You could put this out there. Cast cantrips, right? Little spells that do 1 or 2 damage or whatever, and then have card draw tacked on top of it. Or cantrips that even just make a 1/1 creature. Play a cantrip, tap a creature, draw a card. And then you're only limited by your mana. I think this is pretty cool. I think it's pretty good. Voice cries out in agony from a burning structure, drawing nearby friends to feed on the last of its suffering. That is dark. This is not red. This should be a black card. I like this card a lot. Shelf Overseer. 1 red, 1 generic. For a 2/1. 1 red, 1 generic. Tap it. Destroy target non-artifact. Whoop. Thank you for the subscribe. Didn't realize I had that on. Hey, if you want to subscribe to the channel, click the link down below. Thank you. Destroy target non-artifact, non-land permanent. That is disgusting. 2 mana, 2/1. So it's like super brittle, but then you tap this once per turn for 2 mana. It just basically gives you unlimited terrors, right? Because I think the removable terror is non-artifact. Oh, no, it's non-artifact, non-land permanent, not even creature. That is a disgusting card. Shelf Overseer is awesome. I love this. And Mycosynth Lattice lets us destroy lands. So we can get this out there, destroy a land, then destroy everything else that they put out, as long as it's not an artifact or a land. This is bananas. Yes, I said bananas. When the last hope died, the noble ducks fled in haste. When first light returned, the remaining overseers ran in even greater haste than those ducks. Imagine running faster than a duck. Is that a duck in the background? You can see my mouse right here in the center, right below the cloud. Is that a duck right there? I think it is. That's amazing. Mountain. Haze of Memory. 1 red, 1 generic for an instant. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Can't wait to see what else this card does. Rebound. If you cast this from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. Super amazingly busted. 2 mana. Any card from a graveyard. Any graveyard. Onto the battlefield under your control. You can use this on turn like 2 or 3, put a 2-drop in, then next turn they play something, or they go to combat or whatever, another thing dies, and then you get to do another thing. So you can take essentially 2 creatures for 2 mana from either graveyard. It's even better when you draw it late, because maybe they have a 5 or 6 drop in the graveyard, or maybe you do. You cast your big thing, they killed it, and you just bring this back. This is busted. Unbelievable. Flavor text is the universe shuffles through everything it touches. Yeah. The universe is shuffling through graveyards, bringing back all kinds of nasties. Trog Hatchling. 1 red for a 2/2. Pretty good for a red. It's a vanilla 2/2 for 1. It's fine. It has 2 toughness, which is cool. On turn 2, you're already attacking for 2. Only half orcs fear half insects. The other half fights them with a good-hearted gusto. Only half... So humans don't fear half insects. Only half orcs do. But the other half... The other half of what? The other half of the orc? Or the other half of the insect? The other half fights them with good-hearted gusto. So the left half... The orc... That's the left half of the orc fears the half insects, but the right half of the orc fears not them. You know what I'm saying? Alright, anyway. Restore 1 red sorcery. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It gains haste, exile, restore. So we're doing all kinds of stuff. So this one is even... they're both busted. The other one has rebound, so you can do 2, but this one costs 1 red. I mean, I think I prefer the other one. Where is it? Haze of Memory. Just because it's... I mean, what's the difference between 1 red and 1 and 2? At the end of the day, when you'd rather probably have Haze of Memory to do 2 creatures, but still, this one gives it haste. So you can get a big beater from their graveyard and swing at them and then make them feel bad. No food means no roosters, and the din is unbearable. Very true. I think once the great philosopher Plato said, no food means no roosters. For sure. Excuse me. Mass Deflector Raptor. 1 red, dinosaur. 1/1 vigilance. Mass Deflector Raptor gets +1/+0 as long as you control a creature with toughness greater than its toughness. So I could see if it was like toughness greater than its starting toughness. So like if it had a counter on it or something. I don't think that it's possible to control a creature with toughness greater than its toughness because its toughness will always be referencing itself, not a past state of its toughness. So this is a 1/1 vigilance for 1. Okay. What's the flavor? There is only so much resistance one dinosaur can offer. Yeah, 1 power and 1 toughness worth of resistance on this one. Mountain. Oh, that's cool. This looks like the Neon Dynasty land. That's very cool. I love that the AI did that. Flame Slash. 1 red instant. Flame Slash deals 2 damage to any target. It's a shock. Shock's good though. We'll take it. Flavor is once the unbloomed one grows flowers, you will surely perish. Remember we were talking about your garden earlier? Once that like dead bush in there blooms flowers, watch out. That's what Lithrani Words of Warlike Advice says. Stampeding Gorgers. 1 red, 1 generic for a lizard. 2/1. As long as it's your turn, Gorgers can't block. So I have a rules question here. Since it says Gorgers can't block, is it referencing Stampeding Gorgers? Because it's not technically naming itself. Therefore, shouldn't it be naming a different card? Also, if it's your turn, blocking doesn't matter, right? I don't think there's any place where blocking, not being able to block on your turn matters. The flavor is the lone clear that saw the coming battle turn to dust under its feet. Mountain. Dust Piercer. It's like Snowpiercer in red. 1 red, Goblin Rogue. 1/1, Dust Piercer gets +1/+1 as long as you control planes. That is sweet flavor right there. Because it's referencing dust, as in like, you know, plains, dirt of the desert or whatever. Which I don't think plains are desert, but you know what I'm saying. So it's a 2/2 as long as you're in Boros. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. But the fact that it is a 1-drop means that it's only ever going to be a 1/1 if you play it on turn 1 because you have to have a mountain. And then you can play a plains on turn 2 and it instantly upgrades it to a 2/2, which is actually pretty cool. Then play your 2-drop. Flavor is just wait a minute, Thresher. Give us some time. Yeah, he just needs some time to get to the plains and then he'll get bigger. Zephon Eminent Heiress. Imminent Doom. 1 red, 1 generic for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. And then 1 with no circle around it. I'm assuming, I don't know what that means. I'm just going to say that's the effect. Create a 3/3 red demon creature token. Okay. Not the best card in the world, but you could do this in response to removal. You have a creature out, like a 2-drop or something, they go to remove it, you cast Imminent Doom, you exile it, sacrifice that creature, create a 3/3 red demon. Not the worst thing in the world. I think there was a white card that was better than this. It was like exile target creature, and it is a 4/4 flying angel. I think it cost the same. Oh, if I'm thinking about it correctly, it was in Magic Core 2021. But, you know, that's fine. You can waste their removal on your little creature and then make a demon. Flavor is death itself lurks at the threshold, waiting to claim more victims. Pretty metal card. Mountain. Mog Minion. 1 red, 1 generic for a goblin. It's a 2/2 with haste for 2. When Mog Minion attacks, another target creature an opponent controls gains indestructible till end of turn. That sucks. I saw a 2/2 haste, and I was like, this should be good. But that is just, that's a hell of a downside. That's a hell of a downside. So if they have, well, you get to choose the target that gets indestructible, but if they have a couple 2/2s, like this thing, just they can block it with it and kill it. This is bad. Flavor is from Mog Quarry to Orazka City. Giblings can be seen running in pairs, trailing crude string from branch to branch. Okay. Blood Bond. 1 red, sorcery. Each player loses 2 life. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards, put them on the battlefield, and then shuffle. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and say that you Commander players are going to love this too. I'm going to go ahead and say every player from every format that plays red is going to love this. Blood Bond is disgusting. You do lose 2 life, though. Remember, you can't play this if you're at 2 life. That's the downside. So, card sucks because you lose 2 life. No, this is incredible. Search for 2 creature cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Wow. Flavor is a year in your blood and it never forgets. Yeah, I probably won't ever forget this card, Blood Bond. That's nasty. Ritual of Flame. 1 red. What's with all the 1 red spells in here that do like bananas things? Ritual of Flame. Look at that. That's like a, look at the face on that guy. Poor guy. On fire, but also looks like that. Sorcery. Sacrifice Ritual of Flame. You gain 4 life. So we'll just give the benefit of the doubt here and say 1 red mana gain 4 life sorcery speed. Not very good, but it's cool in red. It's like a worse revitalized, but cheaper, but you don't get to draw the card in red. I guess your opponent won't expect it. They'll be like, what? How, what? You're gaining life? Yeah. Every heathen on Pharax faces a final trial. His entire being, from mind to body, is consumed in the rite. Nothing but the Pharaoh's face remains painted red with the tormenting flames of an all-consuming passion. Okay, that's what happened to that dude. Sorry, buddy. I was judging you. Tempestuous Punishment. 1 red. Sorcery. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Sorcery speed. So you can do this before you attack. Can't do it in response to removal. Don't really need to do it after you attack, so it's purely just to get damage through. Alright. And the flavor is the choice was not always as obvious as it was this time. Mountain. Spellwright's Collar. 1 red, 2 generic for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+0, gains haste until end of turn. Untap it, and it gains haste until end of turn. Double haste. 3 mana for +2/+0 and haste until end of turn. And untap it. This is like that spell earlier that cost 6, but I wanted it to cost 2, not 3. I guess it's fine at 3, like it's mediocre to like slightly below average, but at 2 this would be fine. In a constant frenzy, Mog Elves' brains transform raw matter into near limitless magical energies. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't want to see a Mog Elf. That would be terrifying. Mountain. Frostbolt. 1 red, 1 generic for an instant. Frostbolt deals 3 damage to any target. Got ourselves a lightning strike here. Flavor is an incandescent cascade of wind, flame, and ice. Can any mere mage withstand such a spectacle? Not just any mere mage. Gotta be a unmere mage. Therisdag Storm King said those wise words. That art is really cool. Mountain. Hellkite Goblin. 1 red, 1 generic for a 1/1. Sacrifice Hellkite Goblin. Regenerate Hellkite Goblin. So technically, I guess you could, if you had 2 of them on the field, you could sack 1 and regenerate 1, right? I think that's the way that reads. But yeah, nothing really special here. Goblin strength depends on whether it is spring or winter. I was not aware of that. Thank you, Hellkite Goblin. Repetition. 1 red, sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. This deck is all about the life gain. No life gain payoffs. Tons of life gain spells. Weird stuff. Flavor is, it seems as if it's a word. The left eye and the right eye each blink twice, while the tongue repeatedly eats. Don't like that. Alabaster Falcon. 1 red as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card, put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle. Yeah, it's really, I'm not sure why it's a Falcon, but that's actually really good if you have, you could put in a 10-drop artifact, just one of, and then sacrifice a treasure token, a blood token, a clue token, food token, whatever. Doesn't say non-token artifact. Just go put that SOB on the battlefield. That's pretty broken too. Not, I don't think as much as the other ones, but like, yeah, pretty nasty. At a church in Triskelion, Orin Reef reveled in the destruction he caused, enjoying the damage and losing lives as well. Alright, pretty metal. Wind Shear. 1 red, 1 generic. Wind Shear deals X damage to target creature, but we don't know what X is. So you can just, when you cast this, you just name X. You're like, X is 20. And they can't be like, well, why is it 20? Because that's what it is. Doesn't say it's not 20. You know what I mean? If it wasn't so gusty, Selesnya might get on their last nerve. Cool. Mutilate. 1 red, 2 generic for an instant. Target creature gets -X, -X until end of turn. Where X is its power. For 3 here. Alright, so let's break this down. If you have anything that is the same power, the same toughness, it dies. Greater power than it has toughness, it dies. Greater toughness than it has power, it always lives. Very interesting. So you have a 3/4 creature, it gets -3/-3 and becomes a 0/1 till end of turn. So you could use this during combat. That's really good. And it kills a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that it doesn't kill. Oddly enough, this is good removal against basically aggro way more than control. So Mutilate that's a very interesting card. Flavor is a victim was mutilated, the butchery didn't slow the abattoir's machine. Lord. Shriekhorn Chariot. Look at that cute art. 1 red, 1 generic for a goblin shaman creature, 2/2 flying. When Shriekhorn Chariot dies, you may pay 1 red, 1 generic. If you do, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That's a good card. 2 mana for a 2/2 flyer that has a death trigger that you could pay, gain some life, again with the gaining life in this red deck. But also, they lose 2 life. If you've been, you're aggressive, this gets in a couple times, before they know it, they're down 6 life. When her curse gets out of control, the scream can change to echo. That is terrifying. Mountain, Flame Spinner. 1 red, 1 generic for an elemental. Flame Spinner attacks each combat if able. It's a 2/1 for 2. Fine. Ability, 1 red, 1 generic. Sacrifice Flame Spinner. Flame Spinner deals 1 damage to each creature with flying. Very situational. Would that even be played in limited? Has to attack each combat. The chances that it gets eaten on turn 3, decently high. I guess you could sacrifice it to kill something with flying that they play early, but yeah, I mean, okay, it's fine. Even in times of peace, we have only fiery outlet. Okay. Razor Ice Snare. 1 red instant. Snare deals 1 damage to target creature and 1 damage to that creature's controller. Okay, moving on. Lacerating Spear. 1 red, 2 generic for sorcery. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains lifelink until end of turn. Again, with the life gain in this red deck. Loves gaining life. The flavor is it pierces flesh, slashing through the tissue of a god and taking only as much flesh as the spear can hold. Reminds me of Saruman talking about Sauron, or the Great Eye. Its gaze pierces flesh, shadow, and stone, or whatever he says. Punishing Fire. 1 red, 3 damage to target creature you don't control. So you can't target your own creatures with this. So it's a lightning bolt. But you know how you like to lightning bolt your own stuff usually? Can't do it with this. So this card sucks. Flavor is it takes an enormous amount of anger to boil water, much less to raise the dead. How do you boil water with anger? I guess I'm not angry enough. You just stare at it like this. But oddly enough, you could raise the dead quite easily just by being angry. Go to a cemetery. Just kind of like you get, your order gets messed up at McDonald's and you're like, God, so irritated by that. Go to a cemetery, zombies everywhere. Easy peasy. Blast of Frost, 1 red. Destroy target non-creature permanent. Can't be regenerated. Oh boy. Yep. Beyond busted. Wait, non-creature. It said non-land. I thought it said non-land permanent. This is different. Non-creature permanent. So, artifact, enchantment. You can destroy lands. Okay, so this is actually more busted than the Mycosynth Lattice, because Mycosynth Lattice can only destroy lands. This can destroy lands, enchantments, planeswalkers, artifacts, anything that's not a creature, and they can't be regenerated. Yeah, insane. You're just going to be destroying lands on turn 1 and 2, and then just go to town with the little 2/2 flyer. The flavor is the Mind Wizards, bent on expanding the Citadel, planned for more than the growth of the numbers of their army. They wanted to add more servants. I don't know what that has to do with Blast of Frost, but that's cool. Insurrection Tutor. 1 red. It's a creature. Alright, it's a 1/1 human. Tap to add colorless mana. Tap 1 generic 1 red. Tap it, sacrifice Insurrection. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, it's ramp in red, but doesn't generate red, but that's probably fine. And then get something back. Pretty cool. Underworld Sculpture. 1 red, 2 generic for sorcery. Sculpture enters the battlefield. Tap. Creatures you control get +1/+0. Well, it can't because it's a sorcery, right? I guess it meant that it was an artifact or an enchantment, maybe. But either way, it's not good. It's like Heraldic Banner, but like worse. Yeah. So whatever. Only demons will call for art created by the gaze of Liliana. Yeah, that's probably true. Dust Devils. 2 red, 4 generic for an instant. Choose 1, destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment. It's no for me. 6 mana to do only 1? This should destroy at least bare minimum an artifact, an enchantment, and a creature. All 3. Flavor is not only can the mighty tornado's winds catch prey in its path, it can sweep down anything that gets in its way. Kaza of the Kuzmisev. Revenge of the Ants. I want to say this title's from Midnight Hunt Innistrad. Or that's Rise of the Ants. This is Revenge of the Ants. So Rise of the Ants is green, this one's red. That makes sense. 1 red mana, 2 generic for sorcery. Destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Okay, now we're talking. That seems very red, and the Revenge of the Ants is very cool, and eating up the artifacts or whatever. Ants attacked, lost everything, exterminated. The ants laughed and danced in the wasteland. They attacked, lost everything, and they started laughing. Then they get their revenge. Ice Form. 1 red for sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a snow land. Ice Form deals 3 damage to target creature, planeswalker. That's a hefty price. You have to have a snow land to sacrifice for this just to deal 3 damage, not even to any target. Seems bad. The stones seem untouchable until a few at a time melt and fall. Oh, that's it. Ice Form is the last card. We are done. What do we think of the deck? I think there's a lot of life gain in this red deck. It's kind of weird, but there was some absolutely busted land destruction in this deck. That's the video. There are like 25 other videos like this if you want to check them out. If you want to subscribe, I do these periodically. Thanks for hitting that thumbs up, and I will see you next time.